They say a comedian holds a mirror to society, reflecting its absurdities with laughter and truth. Beneath every punchline, there's a perspective bold, unsettling, yet liberating. In a world divided by opinion, we want to believe that a comedian connects all of us through the universal language of humor because he speaks what others fear to whisper. But in India, can a comedian be truly fearless? Let's explore the legal angle. Article 19 of the Indian Constitution guarantees freedom of speech and expression to all citizens of India. Can Samay or time change for a certain Ranveer or a certain Kunal? Freedom of speech includes freedom to express one's opinions freely, freedom to criticize the government, and artistic freedom, literature, movies, comedy, etc. But Article 19 imposes reasonable restrictions on this particular freedom in the interest of, among other things, public order, defamation, decency or morality, and contempt of court. So the government can impose restrictions for specific legally defined cases. Comedians generally use dark humor and satire to critique the government, judiciary, which definitely would ruffle a few feathers. What follows would be contempt of court orders, multiple FIRs, and online abuse and threats. But what is contempt of court? What is morality? What is decency? This is left to the courts to decide. The court looks at intent. Was the artistic work used to degrade or titillate the senses? Next, the context. Is it educational, cultural, or just artistic? Then the audience. Is it aimed at the public in general or a protected group, let's say children? But the most important, does it cause tangible harm? Does it incite violence? Court generally protects artistic freedom. So free speech isn't silenced just because somebody is offended. One needs to see whether it crosses a certain societal threshold. Few notable examples are Salman Rushdie's Satanic Verses in 1988 was banned in India, and Mr. Salman was not allowed in India for many years as the book was alleged to be blasphemous. Anurag Kashyap's Panch was denied certification by CBFC way back in 2003, but it turned out to be a cult classic many years later. M.F. Hussein's depiction of the Hindu goddesses led to his self-imposed exile from India. Movies like Urta Punjab, Lipstick Under My Burqa, and Padmavat have fought through the courts to avoid cuts and get the certification. But an important point for the courts to ponder is what constitutes morality in a diverse country like India, because one group's outrage can be the other group's truth. Religious or political hurt override artistic expression may be a key fault line in Indian jurisprudence and politics. We would agree that some of these incidents may be trivial or blown out of proportion. But does Supreme Court protect the aggrieved? Yes, because the Supreme Court is the guardian of the Constitution. The fundamental rights are at stake if there are multiplicity of FIRs, and to protect a person from immediate arrest, one can approach the Supreme Court by filing a writ petition. Contrary to public opinion, Supreme Court has indeed protected the citizens in the AIB roast case, in the Munawar Farooqi case, and in the most recent Ranveer Alabadia's case, where he approached the Supreme Court under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution for protection from arrest and consolidation of the multiple FIRs filed across the country. Song or performance is simply stating the facts or using satire, but people react violently. It's important to remember that the courts punish incitement, not the audience's intolerance. Because of the intolerance, if there is violence, would the courts grant bail? Yes, bail is a procedural safeguard. Bail is a right, not a reward or a punishment. Courts will assess whether the accused is a flight risk, whether he would repeat it again, etc., and then grant bail. Remember, the courts protect the process, not endorse the violence or the content. Courts walk a tightrope between freedom of expression and law and order. Comedians are the last people standing between democracy and the dictatorship of the Dutch. When politicians goof up, the journalists report it, but comedians would repeat it with better punchlines. They actually say what everyone's thinking, but louder, funnier, with a mic that works. Laughter is indeed the best medicine, and the comedians are the unlicensed doctors who we really trust. But hey, why so serious? They just want to bring a smile in this cold, dark world. If you know, you know.